Well, we need to know what Iran's intent is here. I believe that Iran did not have full knowledge beforehand of October 7th, and that the Hamas attack on October 7th and what transpired thereafter took Iran by surprise, and that they needed to come up with a policy on how to deal with this. And the policy that Iran came up with was a policy of managed escalation using the total resources of the so-called axis of resistance to operate in support of Hamas, not to operate in concert with Hamas towards a greater objective. See, there's a difference there. If Iran had planned this, then Hamas's actions are the initiating strike in a larger campaign designed to achieve a broader result than simply the Hamas desire for a Palestinian state. I don't see Iran having a broader intent here. Iran seems to be operating in support of Hamas's objectives, and so escalation management is the name of the game, and that's something that both Hezbollah and Iran have been doing quite effectively, using Hezbollah capabilities, using capabilities out of Syria and Iraq, using Ansarallah in Yemen, and using Iran when necessary. But the goal isn't to create a broader regional conflict. And one of the reasons why I put a lot of emphasis on that is Iran's strategic objective to October 2023 was this dramatic geopolitical realignment that it was participating in, taking a lead in which we now know as BRICS. Iran attended BRICS as a member, one of the new members, and the whole thing of BRICS. And just ask Putin how it was like to be sitting in a summit that you're the host for, and having people constantly remind you that BRICS is about de-escalation. BRICS is about the peaceful resolution of problems to avoid violence-based solutions. And so there was a lot of pressure being put on Putin, to find a way to bring this Ukrainian conflict to an end. And similar pressure is put on Iran not to allow this to escalate, this conflict in the Middle East to escalate out of control. That's bad for everybody. It's not, it's not the BRICS brand. And, Iran, as a full-fledged member of BRICS, has to adhere to this. So I listen to the people saying Iran is going to strike back. And I say, why? Why? What's in it for Iran? Deterrence? They've already established that. Iran proved without a shadow of a doubt that it can strike any place in Israel it wants, at any time it wants, with whatever capacity it wants, and it will hit the targets that it wants to hit. They've proven that. Israel does not have a missile defense shield, either on its own or in coordination with the United States and European allies, that is capable of stopping Iran's ballistic missiles, especially when employed the way that Iran does, with mass attacks using missiles of varying degrees of technology and the tactics, separating warheads, decoys, maneuvering warheads, hypersonic missiles. All of this together overwhelmed the Israeli defense systems, and Israel couldn't stop the attack. So Iran has made it clear that it can attack Israel anytime it wants. Israel was supposed to send a signal to Iran saying, yeah, but you're going to pay it. You could pay a heavy price if you actually tried to hit us really hard. Israel didn't send that signal. That signal was not received. And so the Iranians, they don't have to convince Twitter. They don't have to convince Telegram. They're not here to win the argument in Danny Haifong's chat on the stream. Iran doesn't care about any of that. Iran cares what the principal players think, and Iran is a mature state, and they know what Israel knows. They know that Israel knows that Israel's attack didn't succeed. And they know that Israel knows that Iran's attack did succeed. And that if they want to continue this game, Iran has the upper hand. That's deterrence. And so why would Iran have to continue this game? Iran right now, go back to the strategic intent to support Hamas. Hamas is winning. I know that's hard for a lot of people to accept because they look at Sinwar being assassinated, and they look at, he wasn't assassinated, by the way, he was killed in combat. They look at, the casualties that Hamas is taking. They're looking at the genocide being carried out against the Palestinian people by Israel, and they're saying, how could you possibly call that a victory? Well, I've always said that the victory in the Gaza conflict is defined by Israel's objectives when compared and contrasted to Hamas's. Israel said that victory for them is the destruction of Hamas as a political force and as a military force. Right now, the Israeli army is collapsing. Don't take it from me. There's a retired Israeli brigadier general out there right now who's saying that the Israeli forces are so demoralized, going back into Gaza for the third, fourth time, fighting over the same territory that they thought they had conquered before. Now have to go back in the same place that their buddies died last time. New buddies are going to die, or they're going to die. The desertion rate in the Israeli army right now is between 12 and 24%, depending on the unit. Some reserves are just saying, we ain't going back. We're not doing it. We're not going to Gaza, and we damn sure aren't going to southern Lebanon. That is a death trap. Hezbollah is kicking their butts. I know, Scott, what are you talking about? They're blowing up tunnels, baby. They're blowing up tunnels. They show videos of Hezbollah guys surrendering and all that. Yeah, that's happening. But, Israel's supposed to be advancing on a 100-kilometer front, penetrating 20 kilometers deep, pushing Hezbollah back. At the max, they have a 2-kilometer penetration. That doesn't even work. They tried to take a hill last night. They got slapped off the hill. They went down to regroup in a valley. They got beat up in the valley. They tried to evacuate. They got ambushed on the evacuation. And that is the average day for Israel in southern Lebanon. And then in Gaza, it ain't any better. They don't own any part of Gaza. When they go to bed at night, they don't know if a Hamas person is going to come up out of the ground right where they've bivouacked. They don't know if their tank isn't going to get in it. They don't know. And every day it's like that. And the Israeli army isn't trained or, they're mentally not prepared to fight a war of this duration. They're not supposed to fight for this long. These are primarily reservist-based military conscripts. They're supposed to have this technological supremacy. They're supposed to go in and fight very short conflicts, weeks, maybe months. That's it. This thing's gone on for more than a year, and they haven't won anything. Their military is out of spare parts. Out of spare parts. Why? Because they weren't planning for this kind of conflict. They're starting to cannibalize their tanks. When the tank gets hit and it's not a total write-off, they evacuate. It goes back to a repair depot. Where guys will come in and do their magic, replace transmissions and engines and weld back on sprockets and everything. And next thing you know, the tank's back out there going. Not now. They don't have any spare parts. So to keep some tanks going, they have to cannibalize the tanks that they're supposed to be bringing out in service. They're running out of tanks. Israel was supposed to export a whole bunch of Merkava 3 tanks to Morocco and other nations. They stopped that because they have to bring the Merkava 3 back into service because they ran out of Merkava 4s. They're all blown up. Their people don't want to do this. Nobody wants to serve anymore. And the other thing about their military is it's collapsing from within from a moral standpoint. This concept of Israel is the most moral army in the world. Now, we know that's a lie because we've seen them shoot the women, shoot the children, and openly. I mean, we're supposed to feel sorry for an Israeli soldier who tells CNN, I ran over so many bodies in a bulldozer that I can't eat meat anymore. I don't feel sorry for you, dude. I think you belong in prison because you're a mass murderer. But they had a eulogy for an Israeli reservist that was killed in southern Lebanon last week. Haaretz reported this. They talk about, literally his comrades, we remember after October 7th when you joined the reserve unit and we went into Gaza and you said you were going to kill as many Arab men, women, and children as possible to get revenge, and you did. I'm like, whoa, you guys are saying this out loud, huh? And then the other, but one of the better ones, we remember your sense of humor, how when we were down and depressed, you went and blew up Arab homes to entertain us. Really? And you guys are proud of this. And we remember your background, how you killed a Palestinian settler, and all. And I'm like, what? They're just admitting this out loud. And this is Israel. This is the same Israel that had people storming a prison to free Israeli soldiers and prison guards who raped Palestinian prisoners. They were freeing them because, according to the Talmud and their right-wing rabbis, they're permitted to rape Palestinians. This is the Israeli military. So not only do they not want to fight, those who are fighting are mentally ill, are criminal, are psychopaths. And Israel is no longer proud of this army. The Israeli society is waking up to the fact that the vaunted IDF, A, can't fight, doesn't know how to fight, doesn't want to fight, and B, when they do fight, they commit horrific crimes in the name of Israel. This brigadier general who talked about this has said that Israel is collapsing in on itself. It's lost the essence of, national, what defines a nation. It's gone. They've lost the world, which is true. I mean, the world's looking at these crimes saying we don't support these crimes. And so now you're the Iranians and you're looking at this and you're saying, we won. We won. Why do we need to attack Israel? We're winning. All we have to do is step back and let Israel defeat itself, which was always the Hamas plan, by the way. By attacking Israel on October 7th, the plan was from day one to lure Israel into Gaza and then let Israel defeat itself by doing what Israel naturally does, which is commit massive war crimes, genocide, uses collective punishment, etc. And the Hamas plan has worked like a champ. Today, around the world, everybody's talking about the absolute necessity of a Palestinian state. Nobody was talking about that on October 6th. So Hamas is winning, and it's Iran's job to let Hamas win. So I don't see Iran bending over backwards to launch some sort of strike against Israel. It makes no sense.
Ray, given what Scott has said, again, that question of how would you advise the United States at this point, given that, this situation, especially with regard to Iran, even Israeli media is talking about a taboo being broken. But on their side, what they're talking about is they're looking at this as an empowering step for them, even though the strike that they launched has been questioned by many as not as strong as believed. But still, there is this growing move toward having this back and forth between Israel and Iran, and of course the United States backing Israel, continue. So do you see that happening, and how would you advise the United States on this very question? Because the overall trajectory looks like war with Iran.
Well, Danny, the first thing I tell the president is he really needs to widen his circle of advisors. I have a good friend named Ritter, I think. Yes, Scott Ritter, who knows a lot about this stuff, has been in war, and he could tell you about Hamas, and he's dealt with the Israelis at great. So, this is what needs to happen. Sullivan, Blinken, they're not really up to it. The president or whoever's running the presidency now needs to hear the real scoop. Now, I was really taken with Scott's presentation of the eulogy that was given for this one Israeli fallen soldier who did as much as he possibly could to kill as many Arabs as he set out to do. And I mean, I wonder how they ended up. So may he rest in peace. In a more serious vein, I remember October 8th of last year. I remember Scott saying, look, don't be deceived into thinking the Israeli army is the best army in that part of the world. They're not really well trained. They're not up to dealing with Hamas. Without the weapons we give them, they're nothing. With the weapons we give, they can blow up blocks of apartments and they can do a lot of bombing, but they can't prevail in Gaza. And this is why: A, B, C, D, E. So I compliment Scott now on not saying, as I said on October 8th, or as I told people on October 10th. I mean, he had it right. I believed them only because I knew Scott's record for not only knowing what he's talking about, but courage in saying it. So let me go back now to some of the stuff about Iran. What's really interesting here is that while the U.S., and I believe this to be the case, was trying to tell Netanyahu, look, a lot of this is public now, I think it's real. Don't hit the nuclear sites in Iran. Don't hit the oil facilities. Keep cool. Do you really have to do this? Don't get us involved in a regional war, all right? Well, that was going on. I believe that the Russians were trying to persuade the Iranians in the same kind of vein. Don't get sucked into regional war. The last thing we want is a regional war. Our good friends, the Chinese, hate the notion that they lose so much oil from closing that strait. They don't want it. Nobody wants a regional war. We're in BRICS now. You're in BRICS now. You got some really big companions. Relax now. Don't go too far. Now, do I have any evidence of that? I do, yeah. There was a treaty to be signed, a Russia-Iran treaty. It's been in negotiation for almost 3 years now. And early this year, they were saying, it's all just about concluded. All it needs is a signing ceremony. Let's do it at BRICS. Let's do it at BRICS. And everyone is assuming, this is interesting. It's going to be this mutual defense treaty equivalent. Now, it's not the kind of treaty that really binds one country to come to the immediate assistance of the other if the other's attacked, but it's tantamount to that. It's like the Russian-Chinese treaty. It's like other treaties, not a literally defense treaty, but very much like that. So what happened? Well, we have the Americans working on the Israelis. The Russians send Shoigu, the head of their National Security Council. And then they send many IL-76s, transport planes, with radar, with jamming devices and so forth. And they try to tell the Iranians, look, we're trying to make sure that you don't get sucked into a war that we don't want. And besides, you have all these big companions there. Now, that appears to have worked because the Iranians were after October 1st, they were sitting pretty in their view, and they didn't need any real response to an Israeli attack unless the Israeli attack was the kind that the U.S. people, the U.S. military, tried their best to attenuate, to make not so bad. So that's what I'd say about the treaty. Was there a lot of pressure? Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, I think, by the Russians on the Iranians. And I'd be interested, I don't know the details about how successful these defense missiles were, but there were reports that S-400 missiles had been delivered by Russia to Iran. They're the most sophisticated, to my knowledge. I wonder if there's any evidence that they had been used against these Israeli things. Scott, you probably know that.
There's been no evidence of that so far that I'm aware of. There were some press reports early on about the S-400 being delivered to Iran. The problem is, as anybody who's dealt with the air defense systems before, these things require extensive training. During the Gulf War, Desert Storm, I fall back on that which I'm familiar with. The Israelis were actually they had crews in Fort Bliss in the United States undergoing down at the White Sands Missile Test Range their train up for using the Patriot system. And then the Iraqi missiles started flying, and so the Israeli government demanded that these forces come back and fall in on the missile batteries, but they weren't fully trained up on this. They had to use different tactics. The Patriots designed to be in automatic mode, but because the Iraqi missile performance was greater than that of the standard Scud, they were blowing missiles off, chasing shadows. So they had to go into manual mode, something the Israelis weren't trained up. We had to send our missile crews in, and it took a long time for this thing, and they didn't shoot down a single Scud. I bring that up because the idea that Russia sent these S-400s that the Iranians hadn't been trained up on, and that these now are supposed to be fully integrated into an existing Iranian air defense structure and operate seamlessly. It's a very high bar. I don't see that happening. What I do see is that the Iranians, they don't necessarily need the S-400. The S-400 is a great upgrade, and I'm sure they want it. But let's just keep in mind that they're a very technically advanced nation with some of the best engineers and scientists out there. There's a reason why the Iranian teams tend to place in the top 10 in the top 5, sometimes in the top 3 at the International Math Olympics, because they're just damn good. These are the guys that follow. That we have a drone. I think it's the RQ-176 or something like that, nicknamed Beast of Kandahar. It's the drone that looks like the B-2 bomber, the flying wing. And it used to operate out of Kandahar in Afghanistan and fly intelligence missions in Afghanistan against Pakistan. It was the one that was flying over bin Laden's compound during that takedown. And it often flies over Western Iran, targeting, doing reconnaissance there. The Iranians parked a team outside of Kandahar, and they intercepted the communications that took place between the Beast of Kandahar and its ground control station, the people at the airfield who take it off. And then once it gets to altitude, they do a handover via satellite to a crew that's operating out of Nevada or some other place in the United States to fly it. And the Iranians captured this communications, and at the appropriate time, when the plane took off and did its turnover, the Iranians jammed the satellite signal, put in their own signal, did the handshake, and took over the aircraft, and then flew it to Iran, landed it, and then they owned it. My point is, the Iranians have been watching us do things in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria. Things that involve F-35 fighters, F-22 fighters, F-15 fighters, F-15Es, F-16s, F-18s, the whole gamut. They've been collecting the flight profiles, performance characteristics, radar cross sections, radar signatures, weapons performance, every aspect you have about how the United States Air Force fights, and by extension, therefore, how the Israeli Air Force could fight. And they've built air defense systems that have factored all of this into it. So the idea that the Iranians have to have a Russian solution in order to effectively defend against Israel or the United States is absurd in the extreme. They have purpose-built air defense systems that have been designed from scratch to take on the most advanced aircraft that the United States has. So, I think that, for instance, the system that locked on to Israel over Iraq wasn't the S-400. I think it was an Iranian system that the Iranians have been developing specifically for the F-35. And again, they know all about the F-35 because they've watched it fly in Afghanistan. They've captured all the signatures associated with that aircraft. And they've watched it fly in Syria. and they've captured all the signatures associated with that aircraft, and they've built an air defense system specifically designed to take on the F-35 and F-22. And we'll see what the future holds. Again, the S-400 is a capable system, and at some point in time, if Russia has in fact provided that system to Iran, Iranian crews will be trained up on that system. Till which time, if the S-400 is inside Iran, my guess is that it's going to be manned by Russian crews, and that it will be used only for point defense of nuclear sites or leadership sites, that the rest of Iran will be left to indigenous Iranian air defense capabilities.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another new video. In this video I have started playing BGMI gameplay. Now we are landing on this drop of the school. Me and other 3 strangers are in this game. Finally I got a shotgun from
Watch out!
but luckily we are all finished in this match. Me and my 2 teammates are finished. But there is an enemy is still alive. Guys, if you like to watch BGMI gameplay or war related videos then you can subscribe my channel, because I upload daily this type of videos in my channel. So guys, now my all teammates are finished except number 4. Only number 4 is still alive. He is killing one guy just. And if you like to watch gaming video or war related videos, then you can subscribe the channel, because in the channel I also upload this type of video. That's why I am regularly upload videos for your first choice. Guys, in the channel I have uploaded everyone videos in my videos. So guys, I am requesting to subscribe my channel and watch each and every of my video. My teammates is still alive. He is play like pro. This side too much enemy is already available. My teammate is going under in the room. There is an enemy, I think. There is an enemy. Guys, keep watch my channel, because if you like to watch or related videos, then you can subscribe my channel. In this channel I daily upload related videos which are described by Scott Ritter, Douglas McGregor and US. Scott Ritter is the ex-army officer of US military. So you can watch my video in this channel. There is an enemy. but this enemy is too noob. Thank you guys for watching. It's time to close video. Very soon. I'm going to close this video now. I'll be back with another content next time. Bye for today. I'll be back with another video next. Thank you and keep watching my channel.